All right, so we're back at it, and we're going to continue our discussion of properties of real numbers. And what we're going to look at today are exponents. All right, so exponents, all right, are what exactly? And so for some reason, exponents seem to be confusing to many students. And I think that's because we don't really think about them for what they really are. So when we're dealing with exponents, we're really just dealing with multiplication, which means all of our rules, all right, for multiplying real numbers still apply to exponents. So when you think of it as not something new, it's already something that you should know and that you should be becoming more and more familiar with, which is our properties of multiplying real numbers. All right, that makes working with exponents much easier. All right, so remember that exponents are just multiplication, and what it is it's just a precise notation and a more concise notation, all right, for multiplying a single number many times itself. All right, so when we look at that, what does that really mean, right? So when we look at this example, notice I have 2 times 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 2. All right, so that gets really old if you have to carry that notation or write that notation many times. So we're still multiplying 2, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 2's being multiplied together. So a way of writing that would be just 2 to the 9th power. All right, so the base of the exponent, which is this number, is telling you what is being multiplied. So this is telling us that we are multiplying 2. The exponent is telling you how many times you are multiplying that number. All right, so when I have negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, I have negative 3. All right, I'm multiplying that 4 times. All right, now when we look at the next one, it doesn't matter what we're multiplying. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of this thing. This thing is a triangle. All right, so now I have 7 of those, so I am multiplying 7 triangles. Okay, so that's kind of the form. That's all an exponent is. So the base is telling you what is being multiplied. The exponent is telling you how many times to multiply that. Now, if we look at this, notice all of these numbers here are positive numbers. All right, so my result would be a positive. Now, when I get here, I can't necessarily do the same thing with negatives, all right, but I have to figure out, okay, and I could use my rules. So notice, a negative times a negative would be a positive. All right, a negative times a negative here would be a positive, and then we know a positive times a positive would be a positive. So in the result, we can see that this is quickly going to be a positive number. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, all right, as we work through the problems. All right, so now what we did would just be considered condensing a problem. So we're taking a long multiplication problem and we're moving it down and then writing it as, all right, one concise fact. All right, now what if we did the opposite of that, which would be expanding? All right, so expanding means we want to write it out as a multiplication problem. So once again, if we look at our exponent, the base tells us, all right, what we are being multiplied. The exponent tells us how many times we're multiplying that. So this says I'm multiplying 4 3 times. So I would have 4 times 4 times 4. So when we move to this says that I have negative 5 is what I'm multiplying, and I need to multiply it 5 times. So I'm going to have negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. All right, and that's what an exponent means. All right, now I've got this funky circle with a little thing in there, almost like a drain or something, and I have that 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and that would be expanding our exponent. All right, so we can see exactly what's happening. Now, remember, once again, I could kind of look at this and know what type of result I'm going to have. I'm only multiplying positive numbers, so this would be positive. If I look here, a negative times a negative, okay, those two would be a positive. A negative times a negative there would be a positive. All right, and then I would have a positive times a positive, which is a positive. But then I have this negative on the end, all right, and so a positive times a negative would be a negative. So maybe you can figure out exactly with negative numbers what's going to determine whether the end result will be positive and what will be negative. See if you can figure that out as you go through the lesson and the self-assessment today. All right, so this is really a quick lesson here. All right, so what I'd like you to do right now is I would like you to condense these 3 problems into an expression involving an exponent. So go ahead and pause the video, do those 3 things, and we'll see how you do. All right, so let's see. All right, so remember the base of your exponent is what you're multiplying. So here I'm multiplying 3's, so my base would be a 3. Now how many times did I multiply that 3? 1, 2, 3, 4 times, so I would get 3 to the 4th. All right, so what am I multiplying? I'm multiplying negative 5, so that would be the base of my exponent. How many times am I multiplying negative 5? 2, so I would get negative 5 squared. Okay, what am I multiplying? I'm multiplying, all right, a box with one eye. And how many of those do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I'm multiplying 11 of those. So we have now just condensed that exponent, or excuse me, condensed that multiplication problem into one exponential expression. All right, so let's go the other way real quick and make sure you can do the expansion as well. So go ahead and expand those 3. All right, pause the video and let's see how you do. All right, here we go. All right, so once again, the base is telling me what's being multiplied. So I'm multiplying 6's. How many 6's am I multiplying? 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there we go. So when I move to this one, what am I multiplying? I'm multiplying negative 1. How many times am I multiplying negative 1? 4 times. Just like that. And then I've got this kind of funky u. That's what I'm multiplying here. All right, and I'm multiplying 3 of those. So I've got 3 of those kind of funky u's. All right, and that's all for our conversation about exponents for now. We will continue to build on exponent properties. As we move through the year, we'll start talking about how to multiply things with exponents. But once again, in the end, it's all about, all right, multiplication and following our properties for multiplication. All right, so go ahead and do your self-assessment and then check in with me if you have any questions.